Okay, Glenn, take it away.
Yeah, so quick opening statement. Obviously, we moved back a few picks and picked up what we think are two really good players in the third round. They both really speak to the moniker of smart, tough, accountable, resilient, great young men. Give us a ton of agency on that side of the football, so we're really excited to add both Martin and Alex to our defense. So, with that, take some questions.
Does it say somewhere out there that you never have enough corners?
You never have enough good players. We love his length, his size, his ability to press. Like I said, it'll give us a ton of multiplicity and versatility on that side of the football. So we're excited.
But yes, you can never have enough corners.
The scouting report that I just read on Wright says he needs some development. Is that the way you guys look at him?
Yeah, I mean, we don't expect him to come in and be perfect right away. What we do love about him is he's big, he's long, he's physical. He'll definitely come in and contribute in the run game right away. And then we can kick him inside. He didn't get a ton of opportunities to do that at UAB, but we see some of that ability in him, and that'll help us out on third down.
Is it fair to say that you, for either one of you, but is it fair to say that you view kind of these picks as long-term, big picture type selections rather than players that you're expecting to come in and have an impact right away?
I mean, I think AB spoke to that in his pre-draft presser. We kind of take that approach just in general. So I guess the short answer is yes, but not just in the mid-round. Our expectation is to help our guys grow and develop over the course of time and be pretty good.
What was the motive of the trade?
No, we just felt it was good value. And I think Andrew will speak more to it. But kind of how the board was set and where we were at that point, we felt pretty good about the trade.
And there was a run on receivers in the second round. Were you guys comfortable watching that happen?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it. We run through all the simulations and all the different possibilities. Honestly, how this one played out, we were pretty prepared for it, and we moved accordingly.
Is it hard sitting up there? Go ahead.
Martin talked about the fact he only had one interception in college, but he kind of wants to flip the script on that. Did you see something, on the film or in talking to him that makes you think that he'll be able to get some of those takeaways?
Yeah, I think sometimes, Mary Kay, the interception numbers for corners can be a little misleading. You always talk about our offenses staying away from a certain guy. But those are all things that, speaking of player development, things that we feel like we can work with him. But played in a really difficult league, played against some great players, like his size a lot. So somebody I think Coach Woods, Coach Howard, Coach Lynch, they can really get with him over the course of his career and early on get with him and start to developing some of those traits. But like Glenn mentioned, I think he has it in him.
Kevin, and you entered the weekend knowing you weren't going to have a big Thursday, but is it tough sitting up there today and not having one in the second round and watching all these players go off the board?
No, I think it's exciting. I mean, we're sitting up there like you guys watching it on TV and see the names come off. And the truth is you fall in love with a lot of players during this draft. And there's some great football players out there, and you wish you could have all of them. But I thought Andrew and the crew here did a great job of staying true to the board and making sure that we could add value later, add players that we feel like can have an impact this season and really beyond.
When you watch Wright on film, Kevin, 12 and a half sacks in, just 35, 36 college games, seems rather impressive. What stands out to you when you watched his tape?
Yeah, big and long. We had him in here for a pre-draft visit, so got to spend time with him and see him up close and personal and get to know the person. But to your point, Darryl, that's a really good defense. They do a great job on defense down there, and got to talk to him about that and how they deployed him. But you definitely see his length on tape.
So there are reports from Carolina and nationally that the Browns have spent some time today talking to the Panthers about Mayfield. Is that a priority today?
We're not going to discuss those type of things, Tony, in this setting.
Are those reports accurate?
We're not going to discuss that type of thing.
Glenn, when you talk about him being able to play inside, even though you maybe didn't see it a lot at UAB, what is it about him that you think makes Alex able to move inside?
Yeah, I think there were enough snapshots of it, right? It's a part of it where you're trying to project, hey, can he do this? can we help him grow in this area? And I think some of the opportunities he did get to do it, he really displayed the potential, the ability, and the effectiveness as an interior pass rusher. And so we put a ton of value on being able to kick people inside, especially some of our ends. You've seen Jadavian do it, Miles do it. So it's pretty exciting to see if he has similar potential.
Then Martin's a bigger corner, but do you think you can cross-train him to eventually maybe play in the slot? Is that something he could do?
Yeah, I'll kind of leave that to the coaching staff in terms of how they'll deploy him. But he gives us a ton of versatility. That's the big piece. Kevin always talks about it on offense, but we want that same versatility on defense. If you look at our division, you just look at how people are playing across the league. Like you said, you never have enough.
Glenn, we don't get to talk to you often. What'd you get
That's
out
a
of
good
your interview tour back?
I get to talk to him all the time.
What'd you get out of your interview tour back in January?
I mean, it was a great opportunity. You get an opportunity to see yourself in a different setting, get feedback on how people view you, and honestly, some of the areas you can grow. So I thought I was very grateful for the opportunity. Really want to focus on these young men today, but appreciate the question.
I answered the question that most people, followers of the team, expected to see the Browns take a receiver today. And you might, but there's 15 or 20 of them gone. So what's the answer to that question?
No, to your point, there's still a lot of the draft left. We'll stay true to the board. I think we've done a good job of preparing and stacking and setting the players where we think we should take them. So, we trust our group to make good decisions across every position and try to add as many good players as we can.
I know you said that the way the board was falling there in the second round was an impact. How much the injury histories of some of those players factored into the decision to move out of 44?
I mean, we put, we weight that into how we evaluate each individual player. I won't speak to anyone specifically, but, we definitely factored it into our overall evaluation.
You say you can never have enough corners. Did the coaching staff come in saying, even though we have the guys that you have, we'd like to add more at that spot?
No, I don't. No, it's not a coaching staff driven. Although it's a Mike Zimmer comment, who I think he got it from Coach Parcells. But I think it's an organizational thing. We had a good football player in Martin right there on the board. He's a valuable player to what we do and trying to defend the pass. Just felt like it made our team better. But I would say it's organizationally, we value those players.
Going back to something Glenn was asked earlier, Kevin, but when you get Martin on the field, how do you start developing him? You keep him at outside where he played in college. Do you want to train him at nickel first? Or?
Yeah, that's a good question, Nate. I think with all these guys, you got to get your hands on them at the rookie mini camp in a couple weekends and really start with the basics. And I think that's where our coaches do a really nice job. We consider ourselves developers of players. We're not just, you can't just X and O and scheme them up. You got to develop the traits of these guys. So we'll see where he is. Ultimately, like Glenn mentioned, we like guys that play with versatility, but you also have to go at the pace that each player allows, if you will. So we'll see what he's comfortable with. Played outside, use his length well, but if he's a guy that can bounce inside, I think that just adds to what Joe and the defensive staff can do.
Kevin, you guys have signed 2 veteran defensive ends prior to this, and now you've drafted one. Do you have a starter at left defensive end right now?
When are we playing next game? Yeah, I think we have a bunch of players in there, Tony. We're going to constantly add and constantly churn this roster like we always do. But I think we have a lot of players that we like. Now, how it all shakes out for week 1, I don't know that for right now. But I think we're adding players that we like.
For either of you, with Alex and his length, I guess, how much does that draw you in terms of his versatility that you were talking about and some of those higher ceiling traits that he might have?
I think that's one component of it. You can't buy the size and the length. He was born with that, gifted with that. And what we'll try to do, what the coaching staff will try to do, is develop some of his other skills to maximize it. But, you definitely can't buy that.
Did you guys make this trade with any thought in mind, the fact that you did trade a lot of picks in the Deshaun Watson trade, and it might be good to get some selections back?
No, I think Andrew, he's always trying to maximize our on-field and off-field value, so that was not a factor.
In the one analysis I'm reading about Wright, it says he could still grow into his body. Do you see that?
Yeah, I mean, he came into UAB at 210 pounds. He's 270 pounds now, and yeah, he still has room to grow. There's a lot of clay to work with there, so we're gonna get him with our sports science group with the coaching staff and see what his best weight is and go from there. But we're excited about what he could be.
Did you ask him about playing in the band?
Say it again?
Did you ask him about playing in the band back in high school?
No, I did not personally have that discussion.
Martin Emerson said that you guys met with him at the combine, but he wasn't a visit, right? So how often does that happen, that you draft a player that didn't visit you?
Yeah, I think it's on a player-by-player basis. We utilize the different opportunities to spend time with these young men as we see fit, and meeting at the combine was sufficient for us in this instance.
Yeah, I think it happens a lot, Tony. I think you bring guys in for different reasons, and you only get so many of them, 30. But I think for us, you have the combine meeting, but there's so much that goes on prior to that meeting with the intel you're gathering from the scouts, and then from that meeting, different Zoom calls you may have with coaches to understand the guys.
If I read the number right, I think he was, Emerson was targeted 13% of the time. I guess my question is, how tough is it to evaluate a guy when he's not targeted a lot? And is that more of a situation where it's almost like a compliment to his skill set that teams just don't want to throw at him?
Yeah, I think Coach said it earlier. We don't strictly look at how many interceptions he had or how many pass breakups he had only, but you look at the full body of work, how he goes about covering, utilizing his instincts, all the different components to being a DB. So, yeah, I think you're onto something with that.
And you can watch the target tape. You can pull up just the targets, but as you spend time with these guys, you want to see in the course of a game how often teams go away from his side because he covered his guy. And you can still watch, even when the ball goes to the right side, you can watch the left side and still evaluate his cover skills.
Sorry to follow up, but did you see that a lot when you watched the tape where they looked at him and decided to go away? Did you see that a lot?
I mean, it's obviously that's going to happen, but more than anything, I think we're just talking about the body of work.
A couple of good cornerbacks went off the board shortly before your 44 pick in Gordon and Booth. Did that impact what you did, and how does Martin Emerson kind of stack up with those guys?
We're not going to compare, but I think they're both good players. Wish them the best. We really like Martin and what he could provide for us.
After
Last one here?
After sitting out the first round, and then you guys regroup and see what's out there, did you start this day thinking you might not pick, that the value was in later rounds, or did that happen just on the clock?
Like I said, we prepared for a ton of different scenarios. So I wouldn't say it's one or the other. We were ready for how it played out the first 10 or so picks.